Hello, folks, and thank you so much for joining us on The Extra Point, your only place for local high school sports and activities. I'm your host, Dolly Fonseth, and it's 2013, a brand new year, which means brand new episodes of The Extra Point. We're here at Greeley West High School, where in just a few moments, we're going to be chatting with the girls' varsity basketball team. But first, we did have cameras out last week, and we've got some incredible highlights, so let's take a look. Let's start out our highlights with some action from the wrestling mat, as Greeley Central hosted the visiting Niwot Cougars. In the 138-pound division match, Central wrestler Clay Shantz lost a heartbreaker in OT by a score of 7-5. Shantz just couldn't get the points he needed at the end of this match. In the 145-pound division, Paul Robeson got the Wildcats on the scoreboard as he gets the pinfall win. It took Robeson just 1 minute and 53 seconds to defeat his Cougar opponent. Adam Rojas continued the Wildcat run with his victory by pinfall in the 152-pound division. In a grueling test of endurance, Rojas took his match to the limit. He finally secured the pinfall at the 5-minute 28-second mark of the match. In the 160-pound division, Central wrestler Chico Trujillo scored the pinfall victory in 1 minute and 30 seconds. That win gave the Wildcats an 18-3 lead in this match. Central would pick up a couple of more wins through forfeit, and that sealed the deal in this matchup, as the Wildcats take this match 54-24 over the Cougars. The win gives the Wildcats a 3-1 record in the conference and an overall record of 11-3 on the year. The Greeley Central girls basketball team was looking to complete a season sweep of their crosstown rivals. Central already had a win over Greeley West. Now the Wildcats were looking to take down the Northridge Grizzlies. This game started off well for Northridge as the Grizzlies zeroed in from long distance. Emily Dion with a nice shot from the corner for 3. The Grizzlies would take an early 5-0 lead over the Wildcats. Brooke Paxton finishes off this backdoor play for 2, and things are looking good for the Grizzlies. After that slow start, the Wildcats kicked it into high gear late in the first quarter. Kelsey Cousins led the charge for Central as she picks up 2 here on the nice pull-up jumper. Late in the first quarter, the Wildcats would go on a run and take the lead from Northridge. Kendra Steffen picks up 3 here on the nice jumper, and Central closes out the quarter up 18-9. In the second quarter, the Wildcats would put the Grizzlies' offense in the freezer and hold Northridge to just 2 points in the quarter. Central didn't do much better against the Northridge defense, only putting up 5 points in the quarter, but that was good enough to give Greeley Central a 23-11 halftime lead. In the second half, Northridge looked to cut into that Central lead. Mercedes Cepeda led the way for Northridge. Here she will find nothing but net on the three-pointer. A little later in the third quarter, Brooke Paxton will drive the lane and get the hoop and the foul for a three-point play. And after three, it was 32-21 in favor of Greeley Central. In the fourth, the Wildcats made sure they held on to that lead and didn't let Northridge back in the game. Kayla Leachman led the way for the Wildcats with a team-high 11 points. And the Wildcats made sure they didn't let this game slip away as they take this one from their crosstown rivals 49-33 and complete the sweep of all their city rivals. In the second half of the doubleheader, it was the Northridge Grizzlies and the Greeley Central Wildcats boys teams in action. This game was tight right from the get-go, with Northridge playing well in the paint. Jared Martinez will come up short, but Joel Navarez cleans the boards and gets the points. The Grizzlies kept up the heat on defense too. Daniel Vigil on the fast break, but Jared Martinez tracks him down and rejects his shot. But the Wildcats would settle down and start making some plays. Matt Garcia blows by the Northridge D and gets the hoop. Late in the first, the Wildcats would get their transition game in gear off the Grizzlies' turnover. Matt Garcia pulls up for the jumper, and after one quarter, it was the Wildcats up 14-12. The Grizzlies continued to turn up the heat on defense in the second quarter. Blake Carlin makes the steal and finishes the play himself. Midway through the second, the Wildcats started to pull away. Matt Garcia hits the three here. Then the Wildcats went to their inside game. Danny Butheris works the give and go with Dylan Herr. And what had been a close 2-point game was suddenly a 12-point lead for the Wildcats as they headed into the locker room at the half up 32-20. In the third quarter, the Grizzlies tried to make a comeback. Jared Martinez drops 2 of his 9 points on the night. A little later, Bryant Frank drives the lane for the deuce as the Grizzlies look to cut that Central lead down to single digits. The Wildcats would bend, but not break. Every time the Grizzlies made a run, Central would answer right back. Central would hold that lead and add to it as the third quarter closed out. And after 3, it was Greeley Central 45 and Northridge 31. Like the girls' squad in the first game, Central made sure they didn't let this one get away from them. Any chance the Grizzlies had for a comeback was squashed early in the fourth as the Wildcats continued to pile it on. It started close, but it ended up being a cakewalk for the Cats as they take this one 65-44 over their crosstown rivals. Folks at home, we hope you enjoyed those highlights. I know I most certainly did. Now I know you're watching because you have a favorite team, and I'm sure you want to take a look at their standings. So we're going to take a look at those standings, but when we come back, we're talking Spartans girls varsity basketball right here on the Extra Point. Welcome back to the show, folks. I'm joined now with the head coach of the Spartans girls varsity basketball team, Coach Laverty. Coach, thank you so much for taking time out of your practice to chat with us.
Thank you for having us here.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, this is your third year as a Spartans varsity girls basketball coach. Why don't you talk to everyone about the importance of having a consistent coach throughout the years for your program?
Well, I think you're talking consistency instead, because I'm not a consistent coach. But each coach has his own terminology and his own way of doing things. And I know when Coach Hansen and I was assisting Coach Hansen that we were awful close because he played for me, and so a lot of our terminology was still the same. But as we made the switch, emphasis has changed, and it makes it a lot easier when they come back in the next year and the next year. The emphasis is still there, and the terminology is still there, and the expectations are still there. It makes it easier to continue along once you have that built in.
Coach Laverty, you have 2 incredible seniors on your team. Tell us the importance of having those 2 girls on your team, them being the only 2.
Both Alyssa and Daisha have been with me all 3 years, and they've been 4 years in the basketball program here at Greeley West. They started as a very, very young kids, and now they are the mother hens, they are the captains, they are the leaders, they are the ones that hold others to expectations. Each has their own skill set, and the skills are very, very important. But when you look at our roster, we're suiting up 42 players. 2 of them are seniors. That means 40 of them are not. 36 of them are freshmen or sophomores. And these are the 2 that I want those other 40 to look up to, because they work hard, they are dedicated to the team, to the school, to the program. They are the ones who lead the others. I don't know if you just saw them out there stretching out there. Alyssa was the one in the middle. Daisha would have been out there too, except she was over here. And they are the foundation. They are the spark plugs. They are the gas that runs the motor, or gas that runs the engine. Excuse me about that. But they are. We need them. We just have to have them out there. And when we had Alyssa out when she was sick for a while, we had Daisha out when she had the broken elbow, and we're just not the same team without either one of them out there. And for a couple of times, we didn't have either one. So they're just so needed in this program that you'll see when you talk to them.
Coach Laverty, you're about halfway through your season. Why don't you talk about what you're doing with these girls to finish on a strong note?
Well, we are in the Front Range League, which is a 5A league here in Colorado. That's probably the strongest 5A league for girls in the state, top to bottom. Last year, the 2 finalists were both from our conference, and 4 of the final 8 were from our conference, and 9 of the final 16 were from our conference. It's not like anybody counts these things, but and an awful lot of people return people. So it's still a very, very strong conference. I rely on, and we're going to go back to Daisha and Alyssa, I rely on them to set the tone for the others, because we do have 14 more games, and every one of those will be a league game, and these are the ones that really, really count. The preseason was nice, but it's just that, it's preseason. The league season is a big part, and because of the makeup we've had in the previous couple of years, we haven't been able to make it to the postseason, and that's my goal this year is to get my 2 seniors into that postseason. That's where we want to be. And once you get into the postseason, you never know what'll happen. A good seed, you can go just as far as you want to, but it's so exciting to be there, and I want them to lead the youngins out there, to put them into the postseason also, so they know what it feels like. So we're pulling out some things that we've done in the past and warmed up with, but when we got the injuries and got the illnesses, we had to pull off the press because we weren't quite as deep as we had been previous to that. We pulled out a couple of old defenses to shut down people that we're going to use as we go along. But the big thing is, personnel-wise, as long as we work 5-on-5, we're going to be okay. If we get to the point where somebody wants to take somebody on one-on-one, well, that means 4 of us are standing around, and we're going to be hurting a little bit, so we can't afford to do that. And so my job here in the last, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, is to make sure that we work as a unit and function as a unit. If we do that, we'll be fine. We're aggressive. I mean, we're small. We're very small. There's teams that don't start anybody as small as my tallest player. We have one coming up that's got a 6'4" and a 6'1" pair of sisters. I've got a 5'10", and then I go down to 5'7". But she's a mean 5'7". And when you look at these two right here, one's 5'2", one's 5'5", and they're a tough 5'2" and 5'5". We just have to be aggressive. We have to make people not want to play against us because we are so aggressive. You know, we might leave scratch marks and bite marks on their knees because that's as high as we can get. But they will know that they've been in a ball game when they come and play the Spartans.
Coach Laverty, thank you so much for letting us invade your practice, and good luck to you in the rest of the season.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you've got something out of this, and I hope you appreciate the two girls that I brought here, Alyssa and Daisha. What a dynamic duo they are, and we really appreciate you coming by and talking to us.
Absolutely.
Thank you much.
Very excited to talk to them. Thank you.
Okay.
Also joining us on the show today, folks, is one of these senior captains, Daisha Shumpert. Daisha, thank you so much for taking time out of your practice to chat with us today.
No problem.
Yeah, well, Daisha, tell me about the excitement, the importance of being one of the two senior captains on this team.
Well, you know, it's good to have leaders and veteran leaders as coming from us two seniors, just to push the younger people into the right direction and make sure they're doing everything right. And just leadership is important in every team. So yeah, it's an honor to hold that title, to be a captain.
Daisha, you're halfway through your season right now. Why don't you tell everybody at home, what is it that Daisha is doing personally to finish the season off strong, you know, physically, mentally, what it is that you're doing to do so?
Just always trying to get better, I guess, just for the team, and just wanting to mentally put in an image in my mind that we want to go to the postseason, and just doing whatever it takes to get there, basically.
Daisha, you're a senior this year, so you're going to be graduating very, very soon. Why don't you let everybody know what are your plans for after you graduate from Greeley West?
Well, I just plan to go to the University of Arizona just to mainly focus on academics, because, you know, there's a time to not play basketball, and I guess that's after this year, so yeah.
Daisha, it was so nice to meet you. You're a charming young lady. And again, thank you for, you know, letting us invade your practice and chatting with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And also joining us on the show today, folks, is the other senior captain, Alyssa Mascarenas.
Hi.
Alyssa, thank you so much for taking time out of your practice today.
Anytime.
Absolutely. Well, we got the perspective from your coach, and we also got the perspective from Daisha about the importance of the senior leadership that you two girls hold here. Why don't you talk a little bit about why is it important, you know, as a senior to lead by example and be a role model?
Leading by example, especially since our team is so young, I feel like we are in charge of what they do and how they take practice. If we don't take it seriously at practice, they won't take it seriously at practice. So I just feel like we are the examples, and we're not going to be here next year, and it's kind of sad, but hopefully they learn from us like how to set and be a role model for others. So.
Alyssa, off camera, we were chatting a little bit about the passion that you have for this sport. Why don't you let everybody at home know, why is it that you love this sport so copiously?
I think just because I played it since I was little. My parents had put me in it for dinky donkers, and I think it was the friend vibe, you know, getting to meet all kinds of different people and seeing people I played with now that I played with when I was little. I just feel like I have that passion and desire to keep playing, and I wish it didn't end, you know. I just want to always have it there. It's the enthusiasm, like the running up and down the court, the you never know what's going to happen type of game. So I feel like that's why I love it so much.
Now, being a student athlete, you need to be able to balance your academics and your athletics. Why don't you let everybody at home know how it is that you do so?
Well, being on the bus, it's kind of dark outside when we're leaving, so it's really hard to read on the bus, and they can't have the lights on, so that's always a bummer. But when I get to school, I have 7th and 8th block off. So that's when I do my homework and study for tests and big exams. And I just make time, and like having clubs and stuff during lunch, that's when those meetings are. And then my weekends I have practice and clubs, but I make it work because it's something I love.
Alyssa, thank you so much for letting us invade
Thank
your
you.
practice and taking time to chat with us.
Thanks.
Absolutely, and good luck to you on the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Folks at home, this is Alyssa Mascarenas. I'm Dolly Fonsa. Stick around, we're going to wrap up the Extra Point right after this. Welcome back to the show, folks. Don't forget to tune in next week for another exciting edition of the Extra Point. Folks at home, would you like to know where we're going to be? Well, you know the drill. You'll have to stay tuned and find out. But I can tell you where your favorite team's going to be. Let's take a look at the schedule. Folks at home, I want to remind you how extremely hard these student athletes work in the classroom so they can come out and compete week in and week out. I want to send a message to all students watching. You guys, stay focused, put academics first, and I promise you success is going to follow you absolutely every step of the way. Now, folks at home, we want to hear from you at the Extra Point. That's right, and all you need to do is slide in front of your computer and send us an email. You can send all your emails to besathy@greeleyschools.org. It's right here, besathy@greeleyschools.org. Give us some feedback, whether you like the show, had any opinions, suggestions, anything that you submit, we're going to read on air and you'll be a local celebrity for a day, but you've got to send those emails. And folks, while you're in front of your computer, you can check out the Extra Point on the World Wide Web. You can do so by going to www.greeleyschools.org. Again, that's www.greeleyschools.org. Click on the link Videos, and there you'll find us, the Extra Point. I want to take this time to thank the Spartans girls varsity basketball team for letting us invade their practice today. Thanks, girls, so much, and Coach Laverty, we really appreciate it. And folks, I also want to take time to thank the guy who was in charge of all the great highlights that we saw earlier, Dean Popejoy. Thank you so much, Dean. And the man behind the camera as I speak, Brian Sathy. Thank you so much for your direction here on the Extra Point. We absolutely appreciate it. And folks at home, I want to copiously thank you for watching. My name's Dolly Fonseth. It's a new year here on the Extra Point. We'll see you next time.